Hello, this is GAMEZOMATIK and welcome back to my channel. And I thought what I'd do today is just come on and do a little bit of a rant really, or a little bit of a soapbox on something that I know that's been discussed a lot before and talked about a lot before, but not something that I've ever really spoken too much about. And I just wanted to give my thoughts and opinions on it and sort of hear other people's opinions on it as well. And that is about DLC or downloadable content, and the way that, in my opinion, it's kind of getting a little bit out of hand. Now, kind of expansions for games and, well, DLC, but when it wasn't DLC, they've always been around. I remember sort of being a big sort of PC gamer back in the 90s and getting expansion packs for things like Quake and Doom and quite a few other games. You used to be able to go into a shop and physically buy an expansion pack, and that wasn't too bad because when you bought these expansion packs, you got something for your money. The games back then, they all came on discs or cartridge, and so you were getting that, especially with PC games. It would come in the big box, a lot of artwork. Most of the time it was like a normal game. You get a manual with it, and it was a fully fledged kind of product, but it was kind of a cheaper version of the game, and it generally added new levels to the game or different story to the game, and you felt like you were kind of getting something for your money. I'm not saying that all DLC that is out now is bad value, and I'll get onto that in a minute, but the model seems to be now that it is very rare now that a AAA game gets released, or any game really that gets released, that doesn't have some kind of downloadable content. And I think it's just getting a little bit, well, not a little bit, I think it's getting really, really fucking out of hand, to be honest. And I think that came to a head maybe with Star Wars Battlefront, whereas they were charging, was it like 50 quid or $60 for the season pass, and this culture now of paying a lot extra for more of the game. Now, I'm not against paying more for new games. Like I said, expansion packs have been around for a long time, but it seems to me now what they're actually doing is, rather than releasing a game and then adding to that later, they're actually making a game and then taking bits out to release to and then drip feeding it to the public later at a higher cost. And there's a lot of people moaning kind of online and moaning about DLC, and a lot of gamers moan about it, and season passes and things like that. And I'm guilty of it myself. I've sat there and moaned about it, but I've still gone out and bought it. And I think the only way really that we can tackle this issue as gamers, if we want it to stop, is to stop buying the bloody things, because at the end of the day, if we don't buy them and there's no demand for them, then the game makers are going to stop releasing them. Because if they spent £500,000 on a season pass and all the sort of content that goes within that season pass, and then no one buys it, they're just going to say, oh, sod it, and they're either going to stick it in the game or not make it at all. I do think a lot of this stuff probably should be in the game anyway. Like I mentioned before, the worst one for me was Star Wars Battlefront, which was like, I personally thought was an unfinished game. There was so little content in that game, and then they charged for this season pass. I'm not going to go on too much about Battlefront, but that was just kind of one example of it. Another game that, another way this works as well, is, I'm not saying that all DLC is bad, and some of it really does add value to the game. I know The Witcher 3 has had an expansion brought out. It was very reasonably priced. I think it was around I can't show that. I remember the season pass was only £20, and there's going to be 2 DLC packs with it, and they're both quite considerably large. I think they both had 20 plus hours. I think maybe even more than that. Maybe 30 plus, or 20 or 30 hours to the gameplay. A little bit like Skyrim did. And for me, I don't mind paying, you know, a 10 quid or whatever if I'm going to get a lot of content for that. But I was quite interested in the Tomb Raider, Rise of the Tomb Raider season pass, because that was my favourite game of last year. I did my top games last year, and that was my #1 game. And I love Tomb Raider, and I love everything about it. And I was really excited to hear they were going to bring out another level for it, and then they were going to do the season pass with all this extra stuff that was coming. And then they started releasing the stuff for it, and really there isn't that much to it. There was some kind of horde mode they've just brought out recently, and that was included in the season pass. Lots of skins. A lot of these season passes just seem to be full of skins or extra suits and things like that. The Rise of the Tomb Raider one, again, it was just like a horde mode. There was expedition something. I don't even know what that was, but it wasn't a fully fledged pack. And then there was only one story add-on, which was called something Baba Yaga. I can't remember what it was called, which I was really interested in playing. And then I read that it was to buy on its own. It was like something like a tenner, or was it 8 or 9 quid or something. And apparently it only lasts about 4 hours or something, 4 or 5 hours, or you can finish it really quickly. And it got sort of me thinking, well, they probably could have just put that in the game. If it's so short, why didn't they just make it an extra chapter in the game, or release it at a more reasonable price? And I found that a lot of these season passes are just full of rubbish. And another really particularly bad example of a game that came out recently, which had a really, really terrible season pass, was Rainbow Six Siege, which is a game I didn't really like at first, but it has slowly grown on me, and I have been playing quite a little bit of it online. And you know, I don't totally love the game. There's bits of it I still like. I love the gameplay in it, but there's lots of elements of it I still don't like. But last week the season pass came up on PSN for sale, so I thought, well, you know, it was a reasonable price. I think it was priced about £14. It was normally £25. So I thought I'll go and have a look at it and what it included, and it didn't have anything in it at all. Really, it was just things like early access to things that you'd be getting in the game later on anyway. All the map DLC that's coming out for it is free anyway. All the operators are going to be free, but if you have the season pass, you get early access to these operators, and then you get a little XP boost or something that will, you know, mean you could level up slightly faster. But it was only something very small, like 5%. And I just thought it's just like a total rip-off. Why would anyone want to buy? You know, there wasn't even any content there. There wasn't any new levels or suits, or because that's all kind of free anyway. And there was a couple of weapon skins, but you know, the original price of that season pass was 25 quid, and it's just like £25 for something that's just got a couple of skins in it. So yeah, I mean, what's that all about? And I just think the way it's going with every game having this massive amount of kind of DLC, it's quite worrying. Even though I'm as guilty as buying it as the next man, I don't buy every bit of DLC that comes out for every game. Like I said, I'm a massive Tomb Raider fan, but I didn't actually buy that. If I see all that content cheap at some point, I may go out and buy it, but I certainly don't buy all the DLC for every game. And another way, another clever way that they've come up with now of kind of drip feeding you bits of the game that probably should already be in the game are these things that I am guilty of buying. These figures. Obviously you've got Disney Infinity, Skylanders, you've got Lego Dimensions as well. And when you think about it, all this is stuff that's already in the game. When you buy one of these and actually put it on the base, it doesn't download anything extra. It just unlocks his character in the game. So when you think about it, all this stuff is already in the code. It's already there. It's already patched, ready to go. Excuse me, that's my phone. And all you're doing is paying a price to unlock it. And if you buy one of these, you know, like for a tenner, you just paid £10 to unlock this character that was already in the code. And it's crazy. And, you know, it's hard when you love video games because you do want to play all the latest stuff. And, you know, any extra content that comes out, you do want to have a go on it. But the way that the pricing is going within that industry, where they're trying to kind of force everything to be download, and you can't just buy a complete product anymore. They're slowly taking it all away from you. I mean, obviously, some people may call it progress. I don't think it's progress. I think real progress is offering choice and offering variety and saying you can either do this, 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 or this. Another example was the latest Hitman game. There was no physical release for that game. What? I mean, it's a great game, the new Hitman game. Don't get me wrong, it's a really good game so far. But there's only been one level released of it so far. And whatever possessed them to make a game and then chop it up into slices and then kind of release one level a month and then charge people for every single level unless you paid for the whole game up front for their season pass is beyond me. And you just know at some point, 12 months down the line, they're going to bring out a retail box version of that game with everything on a disc. Some Game of the Year edition, or the complete edition, or the Hitman fucking tripwire gun something. I don't know. They're going to bring some edition of this game out in a disc and going to try and charge everyone another 50 quid to buy it. And it's just like, why couldn't they just do that in the first place? And for such a big franchise as well. And maybe I'm just getting cynical and really old, but I just think to release a game like that and just drip feed it to people so they just have to pay for it monthly. I mean, they're not forcing you to pay for it monthly, but they know that some people are going to go, well, you know, I'll see what it is, I'll just buy the first level, it's 12 quid, and then they're going to like that, and then they're going to buy the next level at 12 quid, and there's something like 6 levels coming out. It's going to end up costing about 70 quid to buy this game, if you buy them separately every month. So, I don't know why they've decided to do that. I just think it's crazy. But anyway, yeah, I just wanted to come on and talk about it, my thoughts on the way things are going, and it's just going mad with season passes and DLC for absolutely everything. And I know there's a lot of other gamers that are just like not happy with the way it's going, but the only way it's ever going to stop, and it's the same with anything, people need to sort with their wallets, is to stop buying it. And I know it's hard because, like I said, I've been guilty of it, and I'm sure most gamers out there have bought DLC at some point for something, even if it's only a map pack for Call of Duty, who probably bloody started it all with their season passes. It's just a horrible kind of trend, and it kind of just stinks of capitalism. And I understand games are there to make money and they can't make a loss, but I think at the point where you're making a game and you're not telling me that these companies aren't doing this, and then purposely cutting big chunks out of these games to sell later to people, I just think it's wrong, and they're taking the piss, to be honest. So yeah, so that's it. That's my little rant over. So yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll be back with another video soon.